Well, it's been a second. Some of it's been my fault. Some of it's been your fault.
It's usually
And some
you've
of
got
it's
to watch
just
an
lack
Avs
of
game,
ignorance.
and I'm like, oh, Andy, sorry, I went out drinking tonight.
Well, you do golf, right?
Yeah, there's been a few nights we golf, and when I was a good golfer, you never drank. Now I'm a bad golfer.
Yeah. You got to have you a little something.
You know, it's kind of like my buddy Cosmo said. You know why people drink? Why? Take away the pain. And that's explaining why people drink in golf. Takes away the pain.
That's all I know. I don't know that I've ever had a good day. I haven't played golf in forever. How many times have you been out there this year?
I've been out more this summer than I have probably the previous 2 years. But my problem is this. It's kind of like why I don't play basketball. Because I don't know if you know this, but at one time I played at a pretty high level.
They paid you for your services?
Yeah. They paid me to actually play the game. As little as I played, they still paid me. So I go back and try to play pickup now, and everybody wants to be. And I'm like, well, I used to be able to do this, and I can't do it anymore, but don't challenge me. I still got the mentality. You still don't want to F with me. I'm an old dude now, but don't F with me.
I still got some of it in there.
I still got a monster that lives deep inside, all this blubber and fat. But golf, I was once a pretty good golfer. I was about a 5 handicap, pretty legit once. And, through a divorce, a couple shoulder surgeries and whatever, I stopped playing. Now I'm liking it again. But I'm like a 5 handicap head with a 17 handicap swing, and so it's like the two don't mix.
Yeah, I
They're
get
a bad combination. It's kind of like it's kind of like what it is. It's kind of like going to clubs in the 80s. You see the old ladies like 80, and she's wearing all the disco stuff. She still thinks she's hot. No, you're 80. You're not hot. God bless. And not to pick on any of the octogorians or whatever. Octogenarians. God bless you. Well, hope I get there. But you're not hot. And if anybody wants you, they're probably 90. Yeah. All right, let's be honest. And it's on that rare occasion some blood goes into the right areas.
Sure. That's
so that's my golf game right now.
No, look, I get it. See, it's funny. For me, I don't play a lot of lacrosse anymore because, like you said, my mind sees what I want to do on the chessboard. My body's like, nope, good luck.
Well,
and when you're good at something and then you're not anymore, that's hard. So I can only imagine what your basketball and your golf feels like.
I may have not told you. I don't know if I've told this story or not. I know I'm on the radio, but not on the podcast. We're traveling with the Nuggets a bunch of years ago when Mozgov was still here. And Mozzie called me Faja.
Okay.
Because everybody said I look. At the time they said, "Dang, Hastings looks like your father." So Mozzie just started calling me Faja, right?
Like at a gold member.
Yeah, exactly. Faja. I still every once in a while I reach out to him on Instagram, and I go, "Hey son, how are you?" And he go, "Faja." Great kid. I loved him to death. But we're playing 1-on-1, and we're like on the road somewhere for a playoff game. I feel like it was in L.A., but I don't remember. But it might have been Golden State actually.
Okay.
And. So we're playing 1-on-1. He's got the ball on the baseline, left baseline. I say he's going to try that BS head fake. He's going to drive baseline. I got him. Here it comes. Head fake, drives baseline. Got him. My legs didn't move. He went around me and laid it up. And I go, how? And no knock on Mozzie. He wasn't the quickest guy in the world.
Sure.
I knew exactly what he was going to do, and my body wouldn't allow me to do anything to stop it, So that's why I don't play basketball anymore. And in golf, that's probably why I drink and play golf now, because I know I ain't no good, so might as well just
have a beer and forget about it.
Make it a couple of beers and
make it a social event.
Yeah. Make it a social event, which sucks. I'd rather be good, to be honest with you.
We all would, but again, it's one thing to pick something. Like I could probably go pick up pickleball right now, and I'd be just fine whether it's competitive or not, because I was never good at pickleball.
What's pickleball?
It's like a mini tennis. I still don't understand.
Oh, with the hard thing?
Yeah, with the 2 squares or whatever.
I don't know, man. I watched like a big pickleball tournament the other day.
Right.
Honest to God, I didn't know it's called pickleball, but it's like hard. It's like a cross between ping pong and tennis.
Yeah.
Because the paddles are kind of hard. The ball looks like it's similar, but it's on a mini court.
Yes.
Right?
They're popping up every tennis court.
These dudes are
pickleball court.
Balling. I'm like, dude.
Well, no. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, like we play cornhole, right? Like my neighbor, we're on my deck here. My neighbor right here is from the Midwest.
Why don't you go deck to deck? And that'd be
we
a hell of
could.
a
We might
cornhole.
be able to.
That would be a hell of a
Well,
cornhole
this tree.
game.
I mean,
Well,
wait till you and I do a podcast with this tree in full color. Then it'll be a whole different deal. Oh, it's beautiful. But like I'm not great at cornhole, but I don't care.
By the way,
I've
tell
never
everybody
tried
we're
to
doing
be
this
great
outdoors.
at cornhole.
If they can hear the crickets. Those are real
They're
crickets.
lively tonight.
Hey, people pay thousands of dollars for that sound effect.
I know.
This is free tonight.
On an app called Calm.
We're on the newly coiffed Lindahl deck.
I fell off the one. That's another thing that led to us not doing one for a while.
Yeah, that was you hurt yourself.
Yeah. By the way,
Then
so
there
you
was
know what?
COVID, and then there was playoff games, and there was
Well, it's just been summer. It just has been, and I don't know. It's
you got graduation there. You got kids graduating.
yeah,
there.
we look. It's football. It feels like you and I will promise not to let it ever go this long again.
Yeah, we last time we did it, I think gas prices were $2.80.
You could fill
Anyway,
your truck
we
up.
won't
Yeah.
talk about that, will we,
Hey,
Joe?
well.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? So I didn't plan on starting. There's no really plan anyway. Who cares? What do you make of the Jamal Murray videos? Because I think it's really good. Let me just tell you my little experience and why I want to warn people about the Jamal Murray videos. Okay, and even Demps weighed on this one day when he was filling in from the basement. I wish you and I could do a show from the basement. We got to make that happen.
Did he come over here?
He did. He sat in the
Why didn't you
basement
call me and have me come over?
because we had to do a show and it was a Friday, and I
I
figured
couldn't be a guest.
you could have been.
Well, at 3:30 I was playing golf.
Yeah,
Probably.
okay, I was gonna say.
I play golf at 3:30 on Fridays.
So I'm really psyched about the Jamal Murray videos. Okay, it's great that the guy's working out. He's back at it. He's showing you the grind.
Yeah.
But you're weightlifting, you're jumping, you're doing the straight up and down. So I will just tell you, we've told the story. I walked out on my deck, the deck pulled away, and I fell straight down, okay? It basically came out from underneath me.
After the guy told you not to.
After the guy told me not to. He was so pissed. He still will give me crap. Although he nearly fell off my neighbors trying to do something the other day, so we were about to be even. But anyway, I landed on my knee. I landed on my feet, but I felt a pop in my knee and some numbness in my shin when it happened. I go, okay, that's probably not great, right? And I go to an acupuncturist, and she goes, I bet you're dealing with a tear in there somewhere, but unless you really want to go through, the rehab, and she's like, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
So
You don't ski.
right. I can walk. I can even run straight. But I'm telling you, the minute I feel like I want to cut laterally or if I want to make a move, dude, it tells you to don't try that.
Yeah,
you
probably
just
did-
get that
you probably
feel.
got a little tear in your ACL.
So, yeah. But what I'm trying to say is, I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer,
old, fat,
but
and
before we all get Jamal Murray back in a Nuggets uniform in January, please understand he's doing these. I feel like those videos
Straight
are a little
ahead,
misleading, wouldn't you say?
How many people have you seen tear an ACL and walk off the field on their own?
Terrell Davis
the
did
time.
it.
Yeah,
Remember that?
yeah.
You were calling the game. He walked to the locker room.
Yeah, they all most of them can walk on their own. I'll just say this. I'll compare it a little bit. When did Albert O tear his ACL?
Mid-season last year.
Like week 4 or 5?
Well, remember, a better one? Let's go with Cortland Sutton.
No. You're
Okay, go ahead.
You're in and flow. So Albert O, 4th or 5th week of the season, right?
Yes.
He's back and looks like he's going to be ready for one. When did Cortland Sutton tear his?
He's a month away from it being a year, so 11 months ago.
So before Albert O, the point being, and right now don't feel like he's close, and Albert O's probably going to play opening night, right?
Well, they're both supposed to, but to your point,
But Albert O's playing.
Alberto looks more like the guy that he was. Cortland is not. Nate and I talked about it on the show today. Cortland still looks like a good receiver that runs good routes and can catch. He had a one-handed snag for Teddy in a practice that we talked about. Cortland is yet to be the guy that jumps up and wins the 50-50 ball and dominates
Which is what his big forte was.
That's what made him dangerous, right?
The ACL, I would say this. I still think there's probably more athletes that have had their careers ended because of ACLs, and if not ended immediately, ended sooner rather than later because of ACLs as opposed to any other injury. And I think Adrian Peterson probably did as much damage for athletes in ACLs, but of course, no one talks about him going overseas and getting,
a little something.
injections that are illegal.
Not available here.
Yeah, that Dr. Fauci's wife hasn't investigated for the FDA here in the United States. but also he came back and he gets a 2,000-yard rushing season or an MVP rushing season the year after torn the ACL. Now everybody's expectations are to be this quick. So Murray, I don't care about the videos. They don't matter to me at all because I understand, hey, I'm glad you jumped straight up and come straight down. This isn't basketball. Basketball isn't just up and down or straight line. Neither is lacrosse. Let's be honest, neither is football.
No.
I'm glad you want to put those out, and we get to follow the journey. And we're in a voyeur kind of society right now that everybody wants to listen to podcasts, watch video casts, watch Instagram reels, TikTok. They're all into that, and that's wonderful for what that is. It means absolutely crap when it comes to whether he'll be ready or not.
Right. So let's.
Yeah.
I just feel like I hear a runaway train
Which
getting.
once again is you heard me make this argument. You came on the show today. I still think the NBA made the dumbest mistake in the history of their franchise. They just came off of a season where a mid-market Milwaukee team beat a mid-market Scottsdale Phoenix team with one of the highest ratings they've had in over a decade, with no real quote-unquote stars. There wasn't Durant or Curry or LeBron or Harden. You know, I guess you'd say Chris Paul, but, I mean, he's on the way out.
People have forgotten about him, right? How many people even knew he was on Phoenix until later after the year?
I mean, Antetokounmpo, which is, you know, a young guy still. But it's young stars, basically, and two mid-teams, and they had the highest ratings they've had. Oh, did we forget they played in July? They were playing their finals in July. And guess what? Three guys actually still were able to get to the Olympics, which happen only every 4 years, which basketball says we don't want to interfere with the Olympics. Why the F not? Who gives a flying whatever if the NBA sends two less guys to an Olympic Games? Who cares? God, you egotistical idiots. But it's the dumbest thing in the world, in my opinion, that the NBA is starting back on the regular season after we just got off a season where we had such a short off season. That's why a lot of injuries. We don't want to have to do that again. Well, you just did it again. Start in December. You got, and you know this, football is king. And it's king from right now. I mean, the end of the season will be 1st of September, end of August, right? So September, October, November, December, January, they finish in February. Basketball wants to start in October. There's a game October 8th. So you're missing with the popularity of the NFL in October, November, December. They're 3 prime months. You're starting the season. Why? Start at December. You own Christmas. Now the NBA owns Christmas Day. Start December 15 with a soft open, big splash Christmas Day, and guess what? You finish at the after. Mid to late July. So what? Baseball doesn't even get going until after the All-Star break, which is usually around July 10th. And no one gives a crap about baseball unless their teams are in it, right? And if you're not in it at the All-Star break, which is statistically proven, if your team is not in it at the All-Star break, your team's not going to be in it at the end. So you're competing against baseball in April, May, June. Is that an easier competition to go against or the NFL? And so for them not to, because of the COVID, to go ahead and say, we're going to move our season. We're going to change and extend it, play a few months in the winter, and then finish in the summer. I think NBA fans have been happy. And they don't. It's stupid. The Nuggets have a game October 8th.
Is that a preseason? Please
yes.
Yeah.
Who the is going to watch that game?
Nobody.
And I think Commissioner Silver has done a great job as a commissioner. This right here is the dumbest frickin' I want to say F word about 8 times already.
I can tell.
It's the dumbest frickin' thing they've ever made decision in New York, and I've yet to hear anybody I ask, tell me what's a good reason why. It's not about sponsors, because with the ratings, I would assume sponsors would be happier you're playing not heads up against the NFL. And I would believe that advertising dollars you might be losing against the NFL, you can gain back against baseball. So why are you doing this? Whoever's in charge of the NBA, if you're listening to this, you're idiots.
Let me ask you this, though. Could it be ABC? Because we know
Why?
TV runs sports.
Exactly.
Let's be honest about it.
What do you think? If you looked at baseball ratings,
Right.
you think anybody? Right. You think TNT with their third episode of NCIS it would rather have that or have the Brooklyn Nets playing the Atlanta Hawks?
I don't disagree with you. I don't know why you
look at their numbers this playoff season were astronomical.
Well, yeah, because you know what? Even on, like, I know sometimes they go, well, we don't want people going on vacation, and July is for summer vacations. I think you and I would both say, I can watch an NBA Finals game whether I'm on vacation or not. I know this because when I was growing up, I would go when the Bulls were on their runs in the late 90s, early 90s, I should say. I'd go and visit my cousin in Amarillo. You know what we do? We'd always watch whatever the Finals game was because we both love basketball.
Well, I got this little phone right here.
Oh, wow.
Guess what I can do? I can
watch any game you want.
Flip it up, and whatever on my TV at home, I can turn it on. And with all the different apps and everything, I can't watch TNT on my phone on vacation.
You probably get NBA TV. They'll probably show it to you.
I used to go pre-COVID. I would always try to go on a vacation during the All-Star break, and I'd be sitting in the hotel bar in Mexico watching the All-Star game. In Mexico, and you're going to tell me I can't watch?
No.
It's the dumbest. There's no good reason that they didn't move the season back. They had a great opportunity. We talked about it when COVID started. This is a great opportunity for all sorts of leagues to change how they do business one way or another. Some of the tweaks are going to be bad and unfortunate for me and you, as far as the availability at practices and stuff like that. And some of it, I'm telling you, why would you ever, if I could run a sport and I said, okay, the majority of my season I'm going to go heads up with baseball or I'm going to go heads up with football, and you're the boss, what would you choose?
You're going to go baseball. If for no other reason, it's a marathon sport like you're playing as well.
It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know why they did that. I think it's idiots.
It's got to be TV. I don't know what else. It's got to be TV.
But why?
I don't know. Because ESPN needs something to put on.
But see, I think, but the ESPN, you don't think in the summertime?
I don't
between ESPN and TNT, you don't think they got better numbers putting NBA playoff games during the summertime than they would having replays of?
Well, how nice was it to not have to worry about the ESPYs this year because we actually had hockey and basketball going on, and it wasn't just one thing, right? I mean, I don't care about the ESPYs. I really don't.
No.
And I would agree with you, but I'm just telling you there's got to be some TV reason behind it because
no one gives me a good reason. Because I guarantee you, and I got friends with TNT, I could call them and say, listen, how was your numbers? I get dude, they're astronomical. Why are we doing it in the old way again? And I guarantee you, real people that are doing the battles would say, we have no idea. Because I'm telling you, I mean, if I'm a company that has to advertise and it's December 13th and there's an NFL games going on and there's an NBA game at night, which there will be, which one? Where are you spreading your money to? NFL.
Yeah.
So
maybe
it was lazy. It was lazy and non-forward thinking of people in the front office, and to me, those people need to lose their job.
Let me ask you something. It's interesting you'd bring that up, and I think in any normal market as both NBA and NFL, you're right. The money goes to the NFL team. And we both know the Broncos usually get most of the dollars in this town. We had someone text us today, though, because I asked, what's the record got to be for you to start falling in love with some people, Teddy Bridgewater, whoever. And a guy texted in and said, Jokic is the only athlete getting my money in town right now.
Wow.
Are we seeing a time where, look, you can't get as many people into a Nuggets game as you can a Bronco game, right? But are we seeing a time where the Broncos maybe aren't going to be the dollar you've got to spend the most on now? Where if I've got only so many dollars, I'd rather go Nuggets than Broncos?
Go win 10 games or 11 games this year.
And it'll all change, you're right.
Yeah, and I wonder if, I mean, we would kill for a 9-7 season here, right, after what we've had. But if you go back 10 years and say, hey, they're going to go 9-7 this year, and you're a Bronco fan, you're going, what? I mean, you wouldn't be real happy, right? You'd be like, what? 9-7? Now we would almost die for it. Well, now that you go to 17 games, is 9-7.
9-8 now.
Is 10-7 though? Is 10-7 just like a 9-7 season?
Yeah. 9-8 is the new 8-8. 10-7 is the new. Because if you're 7-9, you're getting fired.
Yeah. Well, it
Or
would seem like
7-10.
Yeah,
if you're 8-9, that's a losing record.
I would say this. I think that they'll go back to the Broncos once they start winning.
But they're not there yet.
Let them throw 11 wins, go 11-6 this year. I think people will be back excited. But the one thing that's great about Joker, I think we've talked about it before, and I've told you this. I mean, he is who you think he is. He doesn't care about awards. I mean, name me an MVP that's ever won an award and for the next 2 weeks wasn't making all the circuits on all the national TV shows.
Being the guest analyst or the halftime guy. Or
you didn't see him. You saw a little video. Hey, thank you very much. Blah, blah, blah. Season's in. Boom. I'm going home to see my mom and dad and my horses.
Riding my horses.
Yeah. He don't give a – listen, I've been doing this for a long time. You have too. I've never been around anybody that – Teddy Bridgewater said something interesting. He said, now there's a chance for me to live up to the guy that I say that I am, to be the guy that I say that I am. Joker is the guy who doesn't even say who he is. He just, this is who he is. And he doesn't change because of awards. I mean, he's up. We see all these big $200 million contracts. His next contract at the end of next season, he's up for that.
Yeah.
It's called a supermax in the NBA. We're talking $40, $50 million a year. I mean, Denver's never had a guy like that. So I can see why people cling to that because he's humble. And you know what? In this time of the pandemic and coming out of this stuff, do you want arrogance or do you want humility?
Yeah.
Me personally, I know I'm older. I'm now in the age of get off my lawn guy. But give me the humble guy.
Well, look, we're in a time where, they're about to cut some unemployment benefits, and people are going to be hurting. I don't think people want you flaunting a lot of stuff on them, kind of like you said. They want the humble guy. They want some appreciation for things. They want the Jokers of the world. There's no doubt about it. But let's think about it.
Let me ask this. Because of that, did it rub you wrong at all the way McKinnon came out and he would snatch candy bars out of guys' hands or
I don't like that story, no.
Refuse people. You can't have a soda. You can't. He's dictating what's in the locker room,
well,
what's not.
You know what that reminded me of? Yeah, it bothered me a bit.
Yeah.
It reminded me of I want to be careful with this. The grind and the focus reminds me of Peyton Manning, okay? Now, I think Peyton knew guys do have to be guys, and they go about it their own way. But look, we've heard about notes in your locker about how you didn't run a route right. I told the story before where C.J. Anderson was with us. C.J. Anderson was doing Bronco Talk with me in 2014, was kind enough to come on a second time because he liked me and Dave Treadwell. Did the show again before, in the bye week leading up to the Colts playoff game that they lost that year. And I remember looking at CJ and we go, what are you going to do this week, with your time off? He goes, well, I'll tell you what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to answer a text from Peyton. I'm not going to talk to him about it because he needed a break. And you, look, I don't have to tell you. I feel stupid saying it to you, but I'll just come at it from my coach perspective. I know I can yell at this guy, but I know this guy is going to go in his shell if I do it.
Right.
I got to deal with all you differently. Man, Nathan's got to understand we're not all you, bro.
Right.
Remember Rod Smith? Like, Rod Smith will tell you, man, he wasn't Javon Walker talented.
You know what?
But
But Rod, I'll also tell you, I'd love to talk to you about it. We ought to get him on the show. His shtick, his last couple of years were thin on the guys, and I was still in the locker room then. And when I left, you were in there, and you even saw his last couple of years. Them years weren't listening to Rod Smith. And you know what? Everything he was saying was right. Prepare like this is your last game you're going to play. Prepare like this is the last practice you're going to play. Prepare like they could cut you tomorrow. Play like that in practice. That was good. But guess what? Because I saw it starting to happen the last couple of years, and now his skills were going down. He wasn't as healthy as he once was. Dudes thought he was. I mean, he wore on people.
Well, he did, but you know what's funny? It's kind of like a Popovich, right? Shanahan's team started to slip out of his grasp too when he didn't have Rod and Al and guys like that.
Well, you go back to
the
demise of Mike Shanahan was the year after they won their back-to-back, and you lose off that championship, back-to-back championship teams. You lose Elway, Shannon Sharp, Keith Traylor, Steve Atwater.
Well, you know,
All four of them were leaders on that team, and maybe even Burns.
you lost Burns because he cut him,
Yep.
and Burns went to Tampa Bay. Dude, Mark Schlereth will
You
tell you.
lost 5 dudes off that team that were voices in the locker room.
Schlereth will tell you. He's told us. I think he's told us both at a lunch one time, where Shanahan lost his first group. Now, I think he got it back during the Plummer years a little bit, but his first group, the Super Bowl group you talked about, Stink said, for you to tell us that Dale Carter couldn't live up to the standards of being a Bronco for 3 or 4 years since you got here, and then the moment he's a free agent, you cut Steve Atwater so you can afford Dale Carter? Well, sorry, dude. Peace.
Yeah.
Now I don't buy a single word you're saying.
Yeah. And then they brought that big guy from Miami, and that was in the same year.
No, that was a few years later.
Well, it wasn't a few. It might have been one.
It was Daryl Gardner.
Daryl Gardner.
Because he called Shanahan the little man in the ivory tower.
Yeah.
But that was probably 2004.
It
probably
wasn't much
4.
after the Dale.
No, you're right. But
Within a year or two.
because Shanahan was getting desperate, instead of drafting guys, he started signing free agents.
Well, I still, and you know the story too. And Bubby said it on a show. We had him on the show, Bubby Brister. He said, we had it all set up. Elway just couldn't go through all the stuff that he's going through. That I would start. I would take him through the first 10 games. John would come back, get his legs underneath him the last 5 or 6 games of the season, and then take it to the Super Bowl and let's win a 3rd Super Bowl. And Shanahan didn't want that plan. And remember, they also changed that and made Greasy the starting quarterback. Bubby started the first 2 preseason games and lost his job, I think, in the Dallas game in preseason. And he said after that, it was done. And I also think that Mike, and we just talked about humility. And listen, and I love Mike, and Mike should be in the Hall of Fame.
He's a Hall of Fame coach.
Should be in the Hall of Fame right now. But I think Mike, like some coaches, and I think Popovich is here now, to be honest with you, that my shit don't stink. And my stuff works no matter who I got.
Now you
No, it
believe
don't.
what they wrote about you,
Pop.
right?
You had 3 of the greatest players in basketball history. 3 of the top 50 or 60 players in the NBA history, and you won a bunch of trophies. It don't work with regular guys. Derek White's a nice player. He ain't no Tony Parker. He ain't no Manu Ginobili. So, and I think Mike, listen, Greasy, nice guy. He ain't John Elway. Jeb Putsier, great player. He ain't no Shannon Sharp, right? And I think he started thinking, oh, my sister's going to win. Well, I still go with Fisher to Barry. Sometimes it's about the Jimmies and Joes, and you'd rather have them than the X's and O's.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, there's no doubt about it. And look, I can have one more thing where I know John thought that Shanahan might try to cut him if he came back and didn't, That was another reason why he wasn't interested in that plan.
That sure would have been interesting, though, wouldn't it?
Oh, I think
Would
they'd have
that
got
have
3.
blown sports talk up? If
That'd have been
Elway's
Roger
come back in
Clemens
week
like,
10?
right?
Oh, jeez.
But, but again, it's like you said, pride comes before the fall. And we always say.
We used to say that when we were together at KOA back in those days. You and I have had those conversations.
Well, yeah, and think about this. Mike, look, man, Mike was a hell of a coach. The problem is Mike the GM got Mike the coach fired. And I will say that forever. He did not deal. I mean, there are stories I still won't tell that just you don't deal with players some of the ways that he dealt with them after. But you know what? You had a John Elway, you had a Stink, you had a Zim, you had an Atwater, you had Alfred. I think Alfred had a play in some of this too. You had guys that held the team accountable so that you didn't have to run your life. He could trust that it was going to be done the right way, and he could coach, and he's a hell of a coach.
That whole offensive line, Nayland and Schlereth and all them guys, Zimmer from the time he was there.
T-Bone.
T-Bone, Habib. I mean, all them cats, man. I mean, Dan Neal. I mean, all them guys that came in and out. I mean, they kept things straight, man. And it's too bad. That was a fun era, though. That was a hell of an era to be doing Broncos.
So, let me ask you this.
You and I have worked on every broadcast on every team that won Super Bowls?
Yeah.
In the Denver Bronco history.
Hey, it's a lot of.
Right?
Yeah. That's kind of nice, right?
Hey,
Hey.
get us out of the booths, and guess what happens? Team goes to hell.
I will say this, though. I had to watch a loss that you didn't have to watch. That was a stinker, man. I just remember, I will never forget, first snap of 48, and I go, well, that's not what you want. As the ball goes sailing into the end zone.
I was good friends with a pretty significant coach.
Right.
And sat down with him probably 3 or 4 weeks after the Super Bowl. I said, dude. And he said, first of all, we didn't prepare for how loud it was. That's on the head coach, John Fox. He said, the snap happened, first play, boom, boom, boom. And the guys are stunned. He said, I'm looking over at John and going, hey, you got to rally these guys. And he was stunned. He said, I looked over at what Foxy was doing. He goes, we're in trouble. Because he said he had no answer. He was like, he didn't go over and talk to any of the guys, didn't go over and try to rally anybody. Hey, it happens. Don't. And he was overwhelmed. What this coach told me in that moment. He said, as soon as I looked over there, and Fox didn't go over and try to rally anybody. We're talking the first play of the game. He goes, I knew we were in trouble. And they were.
See, that's incredible to hear because I've been told, go back to the Baltimore year, the year before, where the fail Mary, as I like to call it, happens with Raheem Moore, which ain't just Raheem Moore because Elvis Dumerville couldn't get his big old arms around Joe Flacco's slow ass either to bring his ass down when I thought he had him at one point.
And then we forget Faxgate the next year.
Yeah. But I was told the only person, and again, we're just saying what we were told, but I trust who it came from. The only person who wasn't ready to do something offensively to try to just go quickly get that field goal was John Fox. Do you remember that? Because they had like 35, 40 seconds left, and they were going to the way that they wanted to go, and he called it and knelt because he felt like we had to regroup. And ain't nobody needed to regroup.
And that was a cold-ass game. I was told also that Peyton couldn't feel his hand by the end of that game.
He couldn't feel anything. That's why he went to the double gloves.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, you don't go try that because you know what really put salt in the wound was it was like the next week that it was Atlanta, I think, went like 20 yards or maybe it was twice as many yards to get in a field goal position against the Saints in a playoff game. And they kicked the field, everybody's just going, so you kneeled on the ball with Peyton, man? That game, we're going to have to relive a bunch of pain, but I still don't. Why you're running Ronnie Hillman up the middle 3 times, gain 1 sorry yard? Come on, man. Anyway. This team, real quick, Teddy Bridgewater. I love the decision because I think Teddy won the competition. But I got to ask you, like Nate was saying the same thing that you said today. You get to 9-8, and everyone's going to be happy. I think with Vic Fangio deciding that you're going with Teddy Bridgewater, and again, I'm not saying it was the wrong decision, but this is where you leave us because this does start to signal the end of the Drew Lock era, even though, I hope the kid's humble and finds a way to get another shot. But if you don't get to the playoffs, now that you've named the vet, how is this like? How can you feel good about 9-8 if you don't get to the playoffs and you don't have a quarterback of the future?
You got to, if not get to the playoffs, you got to be fighting for it in the last week of the season and something, whatever. I guess. But that's why I kept trying to tell everybody on the show. I said, first of all, you're talking about a coaching staff that's in the last year of a deal, and they don't care about 6 years from now if they ain't going to be around. They care about this year. So who do they think gives them the best chance to win more games than not this year? Well, it's Teddy Bridgewater. And that was evident. I went back today and watched the first half of the film, and I'm watching Teddy come up, and he's not Peyton Manning, he's not John Elway, but I'm watching a veteran quarterback that goes up, and he is eyeing, and you can see it, and he's eyeing the coverage. I mean, you can see him scanning left to right, point out the middle linebacker. 2 series, go down, boom, 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 2 touchdowns. Drew comes in. He comes up, looks straight ahead, points to a guy, and that's it. I'm like, and Ryan Harris, who I do a show with on radio, he said, oh, I'm learning how to read cover or read protection.
Yeah.
And Ryan goes, read protection. The offensive line's reading your protection. We're telling you what the protection is. You got to read coverage. and he still doesn't do it. Even the one nice play through the Jerry Jeudy crossing, if you watch it, he's eyeing him all the way across the field, right to left, finally hits him to the left side. He doesn't read coverage. Now, I said this the last couple of days. I think you guys said something about this too on your show. Everybody, as the warden says, former athlete, your improvement is on you. And the lack of knowledge that you have in whatever it might be, or the lack of a skill set, it's on you to find ways to improve that shortcoming. Extra drills, extra time, hiring people in the off season, whatever it might be. That's on you. That being said, the organization is partly to blame on Drew Lock's slower than we want to be development, because they had an opportunity 2 years ago, instead of signing a guy that basically had 4 great weeks of his career and won a Super Bowl, who comes in on his opening statement and says, "I'm not here to make anybody better." And that's your leader? Well, I'll ask you right now, and he might have been a tyrant and he might have been anal, but did Peyton make everybody better?
Yeah.
I mean,
He took you out and showed you what you wanted.
so my job isn't here to try to get guys ready to make them better. Drew Lock, and then the second year, the same mistake kind of was made in the sense that they just gave him the job, and his only competition is an undrafted quarterback, who I like. And I still think Brett Rippon will be a decade-plus backup quarterback in this league.
Okay, I'm going to say this real quick, and I don't doubt that you're right. But, dude, what I've never understand is, what would it have hurt to let Brett just have a few snaps with the ones? Guy won you a game without practice. He can't have one couple series with the ones.
And once again, this is organizational. I'm not talking about Drew Lock's responsibility as a pro player to improve. That's on him. But as an organization, when he's out and Brett Rippon starts and you win, start him the next game.
Yeah. See if that was for real.
Yeah, start him the next game. And so you let a young guy kind of sweat on the sideline, maybe he picks it up a little sooner. They've done everything wrong as an organization, in my opinion, to get Drew Lock better quicker. Now, does he have the capability to do that? I don't know. Maybe he doesn't.
Right. Yeah, that's
I was told by a high-ranking executive on another NFL team who told me the reason they didn't draft him is we heard he was dumb. Period. So, and I haven't been that callous on the radio or said it out, but basically, this is a whole other NFL franchise. Well, you think that's the only other franchise that had that? I mean, he did go way low in the first round, or no, second round. Drew Lock was a second-round pick. With all this great talent and franchise quarterback arm, you're going to get that in the second round in today's NFL? Honestly? Unless there was a whole bunch of teams that heard the same thing this guy told me.
See, I'm with you. I don't like the word dumb. It feels harsh, but it is what was said.
I did that on purpose.
No, you're.
I asked a guy. Here's how I posed the question. Him and Hall, and I go, let me just tell you what I heard. He ain't the sharpest tool in the block. He goes, that's exactly what we thought.
Well,
so they didn't say dumb. That to me though is dumb. Yes?
That's fine. Yeah, but I'll say this. And this backs up your point. He's had trouble remembering and calling the plays in camp, to the point where Shermer's been frustrated with him, and he's not been hitting the motions right. He's been letting. Again, these are the little things that as fans you don't necessarily see when they go out to practice, but you got to snap the ball right when the motion comes. And I was told he kept screwing this up, which has got him frustrated. When there's a certain point where the receivers hit, he's past where you want him to go. You want to snap that ball so he can get upfield.
Yeah.
And you're letting it go past the
Because for those who don't know, if they turn up too soon, it's an illegal procedure.
Well, and you're trying to get him a head start in a certain part of the field so he can beat an inside corner. I was told it was mainly like get to the slot, snap the ball, let him get there, but the receiver's running past the point you want him to because you don't fully understand the motion. And the protection thing was really interesting. Our guy Stink broke it down. I don't say it on the air, but Stink broke it down for me, and I've had other people confirm it for me. That first sack that he took, that everybody said, his line sucked those 3 plays, The second sack in his first series was on Moody. Moody just whiffed on his guy, tried to punch him and missed. Bad block. But the first one, Drew was supposed to recognize, I don't have protection to my offside, to my left side.
Because the whole line slanted right to the right.
It was supposed to be a quick throw out there. And because of the way the protection was set up, he had to know. Now, look, our guy Jerry Jeudy, we can talk about him too. I think he's going to be a great player, but I think he's got a little Randy Moss where I take some plays off here and there. Jeudy didn't beat his guy to the spot, and Drew never got the ball rid of quick enough. But Drew needed to realize when he got to the line, I've had two people confirm this, Stink being one of them, that I don't have help. This guy's coming clean. You got to get the damn ball out of here. You don't have two to block. You've got one block and two is what. The tackle was the only one left to get those two guys. He didn't recognize the protection or that he was going to be, vulnerable there. And then I go back to Teddy Bridgewater. Remember when he took the two tight ends? It was Beck and someone else, and he motioned him over on that one play.
Tight end and the guy that's playing the fullback. I think.
Okay, so he motioned him the outside. He takes the snap. He then waits for the rusher to come and dips behind those two guys. That's the mental part of the game that won him the job. It's not about 60-yard passes to a guy running free with no safety waiting on him.
And I'll give you another example of something similar to that. The touchdown to Hamler, KJ.
Yeah,
right?
The first game. Oh, no, wait. For Bridgewater, the hot read?
Yeah, thank you. So all of a sudden he did the ball snap. Here comes the corner on a blitz. Well, guess what? That's a long way for an inside linebacker or a safety to get to KJ Hamler on a quick 5-yard out, which you're on the 6-yard line or whatever it was, 4-yard line. All of a sudden, boom, boom, boom. Teddy reads that blitz, boom, drops him right away to a touchdown. There's no one around the guy. Well, guess what? Do you think he read the blitz? Do you think he understood, okay, here's my hot guy. This guy's coming. Ain't no way in hell. It's either the inside linebacker on the hash or the safety that has to go all the way to the flats to get this speedy wide receiver. He ain't getting there in that time. And sure enough, I mean, that was the easiest touchdown we've seen the Broncos score in how many years?
Yeah, 2, 3.
Right?
Dude, hey, I want to add to that play because you know what else Teddy did? You noticed Hamler was clapping and trying to get Teddy's attention like, hey, he's coming. Teddy didn't even look at him one time because to your point,
you're not going to give that guy an extra second.
If I reveal this, you're going to adjust your coverage. So he just stared at the linebacker. He never even looked over Hamler's way. And he takes the snap, like you said, 1, 2. I'm looking in the middle of the field. I know I got you breaking open. Didn't look till the last minute. Nobody can react to the pass that way. We talk about it all. That's that manipulating with the eyes. He made the middle linebackers stay home.
So let me ask you this: why then? And you get on your show. Why? It's probably less than 50%, but probably 45% or more think Drew Lock should be the quarterback. Why?
It's 70% of them. You know why? Here's my theory ultimately, okay?
One is because there's a radio station across the street that's been on Drew Lock's jock all of training camp, and people flock to that station, and they need to realize that half of those people are idiots, and they're shills for the team.
There's too much tweeting about 7-on-7 touchdowns, okay?
Because that's people that don't know football.
Yeah, you know what I said it on the air the other day. We don't tweet about Nathan McKinnon in a shooting drill, putting one over Grubauer's shoulder and saying he scored a goal. It was beautiful, right? That's a drill. So 7-on-7. It's a drill. It's a drill. A drill designed for you to run touchdown plays and be successful. There's no pass rush. There's fewer defenders. You were supposed to own that drill.
Yes.
So quick call. You got it. It's the 11-on-11 stuff that matters. But here's the other thing. You know what I think it is? And I know some people have asked about the race card. I don't think that's it. If you disagree, I'll leave that up to you. I grew up in this town. I thought everyone had a John Elway. I thought it was normal for your quarterback to be able to roll out to one number and throw it 50, 60 on a dime down to the other side of the field. We are in a town where I think my age group has been completely tainted as to what a quarterback is supposed to. Why did I love Jay Cutler over Jake Plummer? Biggest mistake I've made in my professional career because I loved Cutler's arm. That dude can throw the football 50. I love it. That looks like Elway. Give me him.
And Jake Plummer is the most underappreciated quarterback the Broncos have ever had.
Yeah, one of your most winning. He's like second or third behind Manning and Elway in winning, okay? The guy won you games. He didn't do it like John Elway. but he won you games. But I think we want sexy. Look, you and I both know, you and I have talked about it. This team can and will win games. It ain't going to be sexy. You're not going to dominate the highlight shows. I'm not even sure you're going to be scoring 30 points a bunch. You're going to run the football and take the clock down. You're going to play really good damn defense.
You're going to play possession, field position.
And if you do run the ball, it's going to set up the play action. It's going to look like 2005. But you know what happened that year? You went 13-3. And if you take one more game seriously, and Jeb Putzier told me after the Colts got knocked out and the Broncos beat the Patriots, they didn't take the Steelers seriously. But if you get that kind of team that gets the AFC Championship, now I'm not saying that it's possible, though. It's possible. All the people wanting to write this year off and let's go get Aaron Rodgers. Look, man, save that crap for 2022. Right?
Yeah.
I have to talk to you. You're a pro athlete. Don't tell me this season's done before we even play a game. I'm not here to hear that.
Listen, I always get this time of the year, I get a little excited. But I'll tell you this. Last 2 years, I have been excited. I think last 2 years I predicted 6 wins last year. They won 5. I think the year before I predicted 7. They won 6.
I would always say, and look, I'll admit a flaw to everybody there right now. But again, because I come from fandom, I'm not here to pop your bubble before the season gets started. So the last couple years, I'd call it 8-8, 7-9, and I said if a couple things go wrong, it'll be worse. But I knew deep down this was a 6-7 win team at best. The last 2 years we've known it, right?
But it doesn't feel like that this year.
No, because the defense is too good.
The defense was good last year.
No, but this is different, Scotty.
Yeah, two things. It is and it isn't. It is, but Von Miller's injury last year, we looked at today. Josh had a stat in the 20 games that Vaughn and Chubb play together. 27 they have it in their careers together. But in the 20 games they have 31 sacks, 43 quarterback hits, like 2 forced fumbles, and you're like, what? You don't realize it. So last year I think their defense could have been absolutely maybe as good. I think they invested more in the defensive backfield, but I think really could have been really good. But you lose Von Miller early. You lose eventually every single
corner.
Ojemudia would have been great as the fifth guy coming in there learning all the stuff. You bring a Will Parks who had played with you 2 years previous as a safety. You bring him back. He's starting a corner. Usually corners transition to safeties, right? I believe we got one going on right now, right? But safeties don't usually transfer back to corners. That's usually not the NFL. So the injuries decimate him. There was a stat in the first game that the announcers, Levy and Greasy, had. They were number 1 in the NFL last year in red zone defense. That's a hell of a stat. That's a great stat. They also, in the last 10 or 11 games, allowed 33 points a game.
Oh, jeez.
Well, and you're talking about a team that only averaged 20 points. You're getting your ass whooped every single game. In the NFL, you lose by 2 touchdowns, you got your ass whooped.
Yeah, that was not a good game.
No.
Guys get fired.
So.
Okay.
But I think that was more injury. And guess what? They get decimated injuries this year. It's going to be the same thing. But also, it also to me was a sign when you see the last 10, 11 games, they're giving up 33 points. That was a worn-out defense.
They don't believe in you.
They were 27th or 28th in first downs last year. They were. I looked up all these stats just recently. They didn't move the ball. The time of possession, they were 29th, 28th in first downs, 27th in third down conversions. That's the bottom. That's the dregs. We should have been fighting for Mac Jones. We could have drafted Mac Jones. But you're in that realm, right? As far as getting somebody high up there in the draft. That's how bad those stats are.
You got to be better offensively, but I got to ask you. And look, I'll admit it. There's just, I don't know, there's something about Shermer that doesn't do it for me. But if they're going to be good, he's got to stay in 2 tight ends, and you can't go 3 wide receiver crazy. You can do it from time to time, and I know you may have a bunch of great wide receivers, but this run game's got to be your identity if you're going to be really good, I think. Because if you're going to come out here and go shotgun Teddy and 3 wide all the time, I just don't think it's going to go well for you.
Well, I thought it was a great mixture. Like I said, I went back and watched the game this morning, actually, and it was a good mixture. Under center, shotgun, and also it was good. You didn't know what they were going to do. It was
Which is what you need.
And I'm seriously, if you want to go back, and I know it's preseason, go back and watch Drew Lock and shotgun, and go back and watch Teddy Bridgewater shotgun. And if you honestly can't see a difference on the handling of the quarterback position, then just be a fan and drink your cold beverage and enjoy games, because your opinion doesn't matter. Because I'm being and listen, I've had to learn all this stuff. But if you go back, just watch all the shotguns Drew Lock's been in the first 2 preseason games, and the Teddy Bridgewater, it is a difference.
Yeah,
It's just different. You can just see one guy isn't about to panic, and one guy's eyes are about the size of seeing Pamela Anderson naked for the first time.
yeah. Well, and the other problem is the same looks keep getting Drew. That Justin Simmons was going 1 a day there with that 2-eye safety look. All right, real quick, because we always like to cover a myriad of things. Do you miss some good old summer blockbuster? Like, there have been points in this summer where I thought, you know what, I could use like a dumb Jurassic Park movie. I wish the Maverick movie would have come out. I just wish there was. I've not seen a good summer movie in 2 years.
Well, you haven't been to theater. I haven't been to theater since
Pre-COVID for me.
Yeah, way pre-COVID for me. Yeah, probably December or January.
What was the last good summer movie you saw? Do you remember?
No.
You used to be a big movie guy. What happened?
Well, you know what I did watch last night?
Tell me.
The one that John Krasinski produced or directed. Remember, and Emily Blunt, which by his wife, who I think is just hot. I really like
good-looking gal.
Emily Blunt. But they did the movie where these creatures and they
Quiet Place, is it?
Quiet Place. I watched Quiet Place 2 last night.
Good.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
You know, whenever I think of John Krasinski, Jim from The Office.
Which I watched every episode. In fact, I watched the episode before I came over. I've watched every episode at least once since the beginning of COVID, and I started at the beginning. Watched season 1, episode 1, and went all the way through in order to the end of it. And I think I told you this the other day. You know, that's what she said, right? That was big there for a while in like the 2000s, and I never got why people would go, oh, so that's what she said. I went, oh, that's kind of funny. And I had no idea that came from The Office.
Oh, yeah, he can't. Yeah. Michael Scott can't quit saying it.
Yeah, I know.
That's what she said.
Even when he's in the deposition, right?
Yeah, he goes,
it seemed like you had a really hard time.
Because he can't help it. You know what, for Krasinski, if you want a low-key movie where he's just so out of character, every time I see him now, that 13 Hours movie, the story of the embassy falling.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Oh, that's an incredible movie. Yeah. They got no help.
Yeah.
And
one of those guys is from Colorado.
Yeah.
Went to high school in Colorado, and Tig, the guy Tig.
Okay.
In fact, he got a great book. I wish Ranger Up might be Ranger Up. He was a ranger. And he was one of the guys that survived that was on the roof that night in Benghazi. And he wrote a book. It's really good. Talks about that night and all this stuff. What really happened from their point of view. But also talks about him growing up and spending time in Colorado and stuff. I still think in fact, I got a buddy that haven't seen in a while, but I used to talk to at the local watering hole near me, who's friends with him. They go out shooting and stuff like that. But I said, dude, next time he's in town, I'd like to meet him.
We need to call him.
Yeah, get him on the show.
There you go. Well, yeah, you can come and do a pod. We'll just listen to stories.
Right. We'll go to him, right? Make the commitment.
Whatever. Yeah, yeah, you tell me where. Are we going to go to Maverick together when it comes out?
The Top Gun one?
Yeah, come on, baby.
Have they still not released that?
No, he keeps putting it off because he knows they want to get people back in it's supposed to come out at Christmas. If this Delta stuff keeps happening, he may push it off again. I'm sick of it. I just want to see the movie.
I had a great line. I did my high school boys trip. We're all vaccinated. We're all this, blah, blah, blah. But I talked to one guy about it, and he goes, you know what? I'm vaccinated. If they tell me I have to show them, I will. If I have to wear a mask, okay. He said, but I'm living. He said, I gave, and we're all in our 60s. He goes, I'm 61. How many more years can I just give away and not live? He said, I'm going to live. And if, I'll take protection. I'll be careful. I'll do all this stuff, but I'm living. I'm not giving COVID another year. And I sat there and listened to that, and I said, that's kind of where I'm at right now too.
Well, let's hope.
Yeah,
just like you said, do what you got to do and
take care, be safe, don't do stupid stuff.
Let's go see Maverick. I'm making you go with me.
I'll go.
All right.
I'll go.
All right. Well, we're going to start cranking these out normally again. We'll get it going.
And first of all, you said it and I've said it. If you're a Bronco fan, you want Teddy Bridgewater to fail? Are you
please
stupid?
Don't. Just stop.
Please. Yeah, please.
You're not a Bronco. Dude, they're both Broncos. And you know what? There's a chance that Drew may come back in at some point, too.
Who knows?
But come on. Yeah, in this town,
you
that's
know what I
your
hope?
guy.
We're taping this before the third preseason game. Hope Brett Rippon plays the whole game, throws for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns.
That'd be hilarious, wouldn't it?
I like him.
I do, too. People make fun of me all the time, but I've said, why can't you at least look? The guy won you a game without practice. Leggy told both our shows completed passes on all 3 levels of the defense. Only guy that's done it in the last couple years. Going back even past Case Keenum. So anyway. All right, next week.
That was another brilliant hiring, wasn't it?
You really want to go through the list? I did the whole list today. It's gross.
Well, they screwed up guys like our boy Mose trying to run Simeon out of town. That was a mistake.
Yeah. Could have kept Simeon, but you shouldn't have, Look, there's a lot of things. We all wish we could go back and do some things differently. Say goodnight, Bobby.
Good night, Bobby.